Hi, my name is Joshua Hill. I'm the head basketball coach for the Mar Vista Mariners basketball team for the boys. I wanted to make this video to kind of give a brief overview of our team and parent expectations. So here we go. Here's a breakdown of kind of how our organization works. We have me being the head coach, kind of over the three different teams. We got varsity, JV, and novice. We're calling this novice this year. Our district and the Metro Conference has decided instead of being a frosh team, we're going to kind of turn it into a novice or first year team. So if somebody is a 10th grader and it's their first time kind of trying out for basketball, they can join the frosh team. We're going to mostly keep it as a frosh team, but just so everybody's clear, now we're kind of referring to it as novice. You can see the different coaches and the normal practice times for each, and the normal game times for each here as well. Here's a little bit of our coaching philosophy. One of the biggest things for us coaches is that we have student athletes. Student being the first and foremost part of that. We value our students getting an education more than anything else. When we're looking at colleges and recruiting for basketball, let alone for anything else, going to college itself, you're going to need to have these grades, because you could be the best basketball player but have a terrible GPA, and you're not even going to be eligible to play for them to see you. But that being aside, these are kind of some expectations that we have. Study hours, arrange with teachers in advance if you have to be absent. Work for a high GPA, and respect everybody. Now, as a parent, here are a few ways that you can help your students. Sometimes, it's hard to figure out, okay, well, how can I help them the most? Here's a list that we came up with as coaches. Tell your student that it's okay to make a mistake, but to work on minimizing them. We're not trying to be in the NBA right now. We're learning, right? And so there's going to be mistakes. If you've seen any high school sport anywhere, you're going to know there's lots of mistakes, but we're trying to work to minimize them. Also tell them you appreciate their best effort, even if they don't make it. Just let them know that their effort is valued. Also understand that mastery is hard work, and really it's an ongoing process over time, and that can kind of help you connect with your students a little bit better as well. Not just about sports, but about life in general. Here's a few guidelines for attitude and conduct. Just be a gentleman. One of the things that I thought was kind of interesting out of all these, I'll let you read it, but a lot of what we run at Mar Vista is going to be mental, and just kind of knowing how to beat the other team. You can have all the effort in the world, but if you don't have the self-control and you don't have the know-how to beat the other team, then we're at an impasse. And so definitely want to emphasize that this program we're running is going to be focused on an intellectual way of beating the other team. Okay? Here's some guidelines and expectations for kind of how we run our program. The ones before kind of just like basics, I would say just for life in general. But these ones are more of, okay, how does practice work? Where do I find out where the communications are, etc. Okay? And unfortunately, if these aren't followed and, you miss practice, you miss this, people aren't informed, then this could, result in some consequences that are unfortunate. So, team expectations. If you have a 3.0 or lower, you're going to be attending after-school study hall with me, Coach Hill, in my room, 207. And that's not going to be for 4 or 5 hours. It's not like that. I want you to come in. We're going to check with everybody, make sure that your grades are good to go. Make sure that you have your homework done before you go to practice. That's going to be from 2:30 till about 3:30. That's when the varsity practice is going to start. Okay, scheduling and information is all on the MVH website, and Let's see if we can pull that up here. There we go. So you just go to google.com and you type in, you can even just put Mar Vista High Basketball. I think we're like the 4th or 5th thing that pops up. Yeah, here we go, down here. So wait for it to load. But we put everything on this website. Here we go. And so different important dates. We have the tryout countdown. We have different announcements, guides to getting cleared. We have the scheduling. Let's go ahead and click scheduling over here. You can see when everything is, the open gyms, the tryouts, the scrimmages. You could scroll ahead. Okay, well, let's try the next thing. If we're going to December, let's try December. You can see like when the picture day is. And these are all going to be in handouts and such as well. But I just want to make sure that you are aware that all of this information is online, and we keep it updated, to the second. The coaches all have this in their phones, and so when we do have something that changes, it's going to be changed instantly. And so that's going to be really important, especially if we have some event that's going on for the district at our school and we can't use the new gym, so we say, okay, we're going to be in the old gym today. We're going to send out a Jupiter Grades kind of email and text to everyone, but also it's going to be reflected on the website. So if there's ever any questions, I want you to refer to that website. Also, and again, unfortunately, sometimes we have issues with self-control, and so we're going to be enacting a 3 strikes rule. Practice. It's really important to get there on time, and I would say early, because you need to be stretched and suited up before practice begins. We only have a limited amount of time for practice, and so we want to make sure every minute counts. The other thing is that for several reasons, but one of them being safety, we need to have each student in basketball practice jerseys, and that we have special Mar Vista basketball practice jerseys, and we need you and your students to make sure you have them for each practice. They're reversible. It's standard issue throughout the district and throughout all basketball programs. You need to have these practice jerseys. If you don't have it, it's going to be really hard to work you into practice if you want to get any playing time for that practice, and let alone for the games following. When to arrive before games? If we say, hey, be there at 5, or we're going to say the bus leaves at 5, you got to get there at 4:50. Get 10 minutes there, before the time that we give you, because, and this has happened before, buses got to leave. So if you're not there, you won't be able to make it, and that you got to find your own transportation, and that's kind of hard to get you in there when we're like, okay, well, responsibility-wise, you made everybody late, and we're all kind of waiting for you. That's kind of a bummer. The other thing that is going to be a point of emphasis for the season is that students are going to be required to dress in a Mar Vista High basketball team polo. That means, again, this means being presentable before boarding the bus. This is not like we show up and we look, homeless. We want to make sure that we are a team that rolls together, that looks presentable, that's a professional, is time for business. So, again, standard issue across most of one. Immediately after the game, students are going to be attending a debrief meeting. The game is over, win, lose, whatever. We come together, we talk about things that we could do better, things that we did well, and what our next steps are. This is immediately followed by either if it's home, we go together and we help clean up the gym, or if it's away, we move together from the debrief meeting to the bus for departure. If you have friends or other family members at different, high schools, that's great. You can say hi to them later, but we cannot be waiting on the bus for someone who's, hanging out with friends and everybody's sitting there going, okay, this is it's taking a while. So that's going to be quite severe consequences for that one. Team uniforms, again, we check them out to you. Take good care of them, get them back to us so we can keep those nice for the next year. Expectations from parents. So we all know there's going to be just absolutely terrible, terrible calls. I'm also going to be very mad as well, and that's okay, but at the same time, I'm not going to be acting on that anger, and I expect you guys to not act on that anger as well. And you know what? There's going to be some things that our students are going to do that we don't agree with, or we go, "What was that?" How did that happen? And I want to make sure that as parents, as spectators, we keep things positive. And that's really one of the things that's, I think, an expectation from that is like, hey, look, as a parent, we want you to support your children. And that's going to be, attending games, praising hard work, communicating with everybody, kind of creating a team/party atmosphere at the game where it's like, hey, let's go. And then we sit with the Mar Vista parents, we sit with the Mar Vista side with the team, right? Granted, there are always, there's good things and bad things that happen during games. And so no matter good or bad, I want to make sure that we have a 24-hour rule. And what that is emotions are always going to be high. And what I want to make sure we don't do is have some kind of misunderstanding between myself, another coach, some other parents. Wait 24 hours, and then send an email, send a text, send something. Be like, hey, let's meet up. Let's talk about something that happened. But again, emotions are going to be really high in the moment, and so we got to take a break, think about what happened before having an incident report like that. One thing that this is to avoid is just this has happened before. Some other coaches just get accosted in the parking lot, and that is completely unacceptable. Okay, coaches are not carpool services, and this is another big point of emphasis for this year, is that your student needs to have a means of transportation to and from practice. We can't just have kids sitting out here on the curb waiting for an hour and a half to get picked up, or hey, I don't know when my parents are going to be here or whatever. As a coach, we're trying to make sure that your kid is safe, and sitting on the curb is not a safe place for your student. So you need to it's your responsibility as a parent to be there to pick up your student immediately after practices, scrimmages, or games. No leeway on that one. That's a must. Again, issue with playing time, have your student talk to us. It's one of those character building things. I think everybody's gone through it. When you play high school sports, it's like, okay, let's learn to stand up for ourselves. Let's go make our case. Let's say, coach, what do I need to do to get better? Is there something that I can work on to get more playing time? It's up to the student to learn how to talk to the coach for that. It's not the parent job. Okay. We might have off-campus events. We might go to the beach. We might be doing things for different basketball team bonding stuff. Again, those are all going to be on the calendar. The location, anything that's necessary will be on the website, on the calendar. And also, there are going to be a few times where we're going to show clips of movies, clips of NBA games, different movie clips during practices, maybe for some analysis of some stuff too. Maybe for a little bit of pump up, remember the Titans type stuff. But one of the things I want to make sure is that gets put out to you, and just kind of realize that is something that is going to happen, as well as pictures that are taken during games, during practice, video. We're going to be using that for Mar Vista High purposes and for the athletics program. So again, just something to have on file to make sure you're good to go. And I think that is about it. Again, any questions, please let me know. We are more happy to come help you better understand something.